Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the seventh episode of the Wolfpack Gaming Podcast. This is John Wolf, your host each and every time that I have a guest to talk Xbox and games. And tonight, I've been excited all weekend. It's truly an honor to have Tim Dog as part, of the panel here. Tim Dog, how you doing today, man? How's your weekend been?
Like I told you pre-show, I've been working, very busy, but I'm happy to be here. We tried to make it happen a couple of weeks ago and got caught up, but I'm glad to be on Lucky Seven. So we got a
Yeah,
lot to
for
talk
sure.
about, and yeah, I'm happy you're a good guy in the community, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Appreciate it, Tim. This is truly an honor, man. Like I said before, Tim, I knew you from the Twitter days. I've I started recently my own brand, with the John Wolf stuff. But before, I used to have another Twitter that I used to follow the fellow members of the Xbox community. And I
Mm.
know that you've been championing Xbox for a long time, man. The brand, you're a big fan of the brand. You have been for a long time, and that's pretty much what we're gonna get into tonight. We got some good topics here, Tim, so that we can talk, man. But I gotta ask you, man, one important question, Tim. What are you drinking tonight, man? Because I got some Stella in hand right here. You drinking anything?
I am. I don't have a drink with me, but I just had some water with lemon. It was very good.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I'll do the drinking for both of us then.
Definitely. I wish I could drink.
I got you, brother. And I got some water here too. So if you want, I'll switch up to the water so we can be drinking buddies
Just
there.
drink, just drink, just drink.
All right, man. Awesome, awesome. All right, Tim. So some of the topics tonight, so that everybody can know, we're going to be talking for about an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. We're going to get to know for myself, right, Tim? The way that I like to kind of do these shows is, as I told you in the pre-show, I'm such a fan of people, within the Xbox community. I want to get to know them, right? Because one thing that us gamers have in common is that we love talking games, man, and we can realistically talk games all day, all day, every day.
Mm.
So I love to get to know your background, man, how you got started, like your first gaming memory, and more importantly, right? For I myself am a fellow Xbox centric gamer. So, I do own, all the platforms, but Xbox is what I consider to be the home platform whenever I want a game. So I want to get to know your first relationship with Xbox, Tim. What how that came about, and why you're such an advocate for the brand. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm,
we'll get into that for a little bit. Then we'll hit up some NPD numbers, Tim. These
mhm.
NPD numbers are getting hot and juicy, man, and they're definitely bringing up a lot of conversation on social media. All right, and then
Yes, yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I seen you part of that conversation a lot, and then we'll close out with a little tweet that you put out there that it's nothing that you heard or anything like that, but you got a gut feeling that that Xbox and Phil, they're about to announce something to take place E3 week or a month before, something like
Mhm.
that. So we'll get into there, brother. So first question, Tim, what are you playing right now, man? Any games you're playing?
I've been playing the show. I played it a couple of days ago. I'm enjoying it. It's definitely basically a roster update, like I was saying on RDX.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't been gaming that much since I got COVID.
Mm.
I have gamed here and there. Uh, I've been working steadily because I have to pay for some upcoming stuff. So I've been really focused on work. But I have been playing was playing Cyberpunk. I didn't end it. I started up GTA when that came up when the update came, or whatever that was. Um, and I play Madden all the time. But the last game that I played and purchased or whatever I got the early access was MLB The Show.
Gotcha. And let me tell you, this is the second year in a row that Xbox has secured that day one launch on Game Pass, which is Xbox counter. They didn't have an MLB game for a long time, and I know that everyone in the community was kind of wishing that either Xbox or EA or someone bring out an MLB show. But with last year, man, that made a big splash as soon as they announced that MLB the show was coming to Game Pass, and it's nice to see for a second year in a row. And let me piggyback off something you said, man, that I heard you say. It's basically a roster update, right? I've been pretty
Yeah.
adamant. I mean, I've been pretty adamant with everyone I talk to that these companies that are bringing out these sports titles, you know, the Maddens of the world, the NBA 2Ks, and of course the MLB, the show, they got to change up their game plan, Tim. You know, instead of releasing these games on a yearly basis at full price, I think that they would do the community some good to bring out some roster updates and maybe enhance some things, you know, and stuff like that. What do you think about that?
I definitely think they have to look at something with look at their model and realize that. See, they do it because they have people like me, and I am part of the problem because I'm an avid baseball fan. I'm an avid football fan. I'm a big basketball fan too. So I end up buying these updates and they're really not worth the money. So that's the thing. And you have a lot of people like myself, a lot of casuals that do the same. And that's where to them it does they don't get that kickback, that backlash. Now,
Yeah.
so that's the problem. So I do think that they should change it up and be a little fair. I mean, this update, and they did really big numbers last show 21. They did really good, but this one, I hate to say it, it feels like they just were focusing on cross play, Nintendo, and it really is one of the I would say, from what I mean, I have to play it a little bit more, but it really does feel like the same game. And I do think that they should give fans something, whether it's next game they put out, maybe it's a next gen only game, new engine. They have to make themselves more unique than what they're doing, because as gamers we know what they're doing and it's getting pretty bad. And this
Yeah.
case, I think that it's a little dribbled down because we got Game Pass. So
It's
people
blatant,
are like,
right? It's kind of
yeah.
blatant. Yeah.
Yeah, but since this show has Game Pass, people are just like, it's free, whatever. And they don't really make it a big deal. Now, Sony guys, they got to pay $70 for that. To charge $70 is absolutely. I mean, the thing should be a $60 thing,
Yeah.
even so, because it literally is the same game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's unfortunate because they have a lot of people that buy the game still, and they're the casual of casuals. They're sports fans, and they don't really notice that stuff. But a gamer, you realize it's the same animations, it's the same, everything. Like, there's a little bit different here and there, but it's tweaks and this and that, and really not a good thing to do for the gamer and a set of precedents. I think that they should definitely figure a fairer way of doing it if they're not going to put in the work.
Absolutely. And you know, you said a couple of things there that I jotted down here. You know, let me first start with the quality of the game, right? I'm gonna say something, Tim, that some might consider to be spicy, but I'm a straight shooter, man. You know, that's the way I am, and I'm gonna call it like it is. It's funny how this year, right, that all of a sudden the game has gone multi-platform. It's kind of like when reviewers stop being kind of scared to review the game and give it a fair score, okay? Because it wasn't just considered a first party Sony title. So when I saw the score reflect, right, I think it scored in the 70s. A couple of websites there gave it in the 70s. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. This is the first time that I've seen that the show has that they've really, you know, that these websites have been really hard on this title. And part of my brain started thinking, you know what? Is it because now it's a multi-platform title, that now I guess they don't have that fear that, oh man, we can't criticize Sony first party, because if we do, Sony's not gonna X us and they're gonna blacklist us and stuff like that. And I do wonder, you know, that stuff makes me wonder, Tim, all the time. And another thing that you said here, which do you remember NFL 2K5 back on the OG Xbox and PS2?
Yes.
You remember that, right? I
Yes.
think that I think that EA and all these companies can learn big time from what 2K did back in the day, and that's that game, the biggest selling price, because in my opinion, it was the greatest of all time when it comes to football. Okay, they took it to a whole other level. But this what the biggest selling point of that game, if you remember, Tim, it was $20, 1999.
Yes.
Okay, and and
Yes.
and that brought so much goodwill to the fan base, and it made that product such an exciting product that I think that a lot of these companies, they'll get more customers to want to engage with their titles. Not that they're not selling well now. Not, I understand I understand the business of it. I'm not ignorant to that, but I also think that they just have to kind of rethink the way they do things, and a strategy like that to have more goodwill with the gamers, brother. It'll get me to jump on board. All of a sudden, you're
Mhm.
telling me that the next year's Madden is 19.99, 29.99. I might even consider picking it up just because it's a low price point. I love football. It'll get me in there. So just something for those companies to listen out there, man. All right, Tim. So you want to add anything else to that, brother, or that's it?
No, you pretty much covered it. It's like you said, it's just the goodwill, and I don't know if you're going to get goodwill from these companies, but we
Yeah,
can we can we can hope.
we hope, right? All right, Tim. So yeah, man, we covered that one. It's good to know that at least you're getting some gaming in, man. And even though you're working hard, to support yourself and your family, it's always good to be able to kick back and play, man. So that's good to hear.
Yeah,
Uh, All right, Tim. Let's get into little Tim Dog, right? Baby Tim here, all
right.
right? Little kid Tim. Tim, talk to me a little bit about your gaming background, man. What's your first system, man? Or you can take it another direction. I'll hand off the ball and let you go with it. Which way you want to take this, Tim? You want to talk about your favorite system when you were younger, your first introduction to games?
Yeah,
Which route you want to go?
I'll give you my history. Well, I'll give you a brief history.
Okay.
So basically, my first introduction to games was arcade. I would say 1980s. I played Centipede and certain games. My first console was the Atari 2600.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, one of my first memories of playing, I was playing Pitfall, and my mom was watching me, and she was like saying, "Well, that game looks cool," and I, and
Yeah.
I thought it looked so great. And you look at it, you look back, and the graphics were like horrendous, but
It is,
um,
man. It was great back then.
right. So if I went from Atari, then I went to Sega Master System, and I was a Sega fanboy.
Okay.
So I basically went from Sega Master System to Sega Genesis to Sega Saturn.
Were you eating
Uh,
up? Were you eating up? The whole Sega commercials and the marketing push that they were doing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was a
yeah,
big. My cousin was Nintendo, but we didn't have. It wasn't like. It wasn't a mean
no, no,
rivalry like it is kind of now. Like it's a little nasty, but
yeah,
back then it was kind of like tongue in cheek, and like I remember my cousin was the Nintendo guy, and I used to when I slept over at his house, we used to just play to like 5 in the morning, and whether game it was Zelda, the games that he had, I really enjoyed. But my personal home computer, home console, was the Sega system, Shinobi. I was big into Shinobi. Space Harriet. There's so many games that Sega had that were great.
Streets of
And then
Rage. I mean, you got
Streets
Streets
of
of Rage, Echo
Rage.
the Dolphin.
Yeah, yeah, Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went to from Sega Saturn. We went to the Dreamcast. I
Wow.
owned one PlayStation, and I
Okay.
think that was the PS2,
Let,
and
let
I
me hit
owned
you
the
up with something, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me hit you with something. So, were you a day one Sega Saturn? Because the Sega Saturn, man, it had a funky release, right? They just all of a sudden
yeah.
said, "Hey, it's available now," and it
It was,
caught retailers off guard.
yeah, within the first week we got it. I remember playing
Oh, nice.
Demolition Man, and Shark. That shark game, which was really
Yeah.
cool. It was interesting. It was not as bad as people made it out to be.
Oh,
But I had fun with the Saturn, and I love the Dreamcast. And I never really was into PlayStation. I had the PlayStation 2 for a while, and then obviously I got the Xbox, and then from there, I owned Sega. I owned Sony PS3. I got that like day one.
okay.
I was a part of the fooled people from that E3. They actually got me believing in Sony when that
Wow.
they showed Killzone. Yeah, I was
Okay.
like, wow, I think there's a new player in town.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
funny. And it's funny you say that, right? Because it's if I can interject for a second, it's
sure.
for long history fans like us, right? And
Mhm.
even if you're a PlayStation fan, again, I love PlayStation. I just don't like Sony's business tactics. But I
Yes.
love PlayStation though. I love their games, and you know, I had a I had a PS1, PS2, PS3. I've had them all, Tim. Okay,
Hmm.
but the thing is that what even back then, right? Sony has always had a way with their marketing that if you once you have that wool pulled from in front of you, you can't unsee, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole marketing tactics thing started way back with the PS1 if you think about it, because
Hmm.
the PS1, not to say that Sega didn't shoot themselves in the foot because they did make a lot of bad moves, right? But the PS1, I still remember that E3 press conference. The dude comes out and he just says 299 or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody starts going crazy. And I mean, their marketing's on point. It's
Yes.
not to hate on them, man. They do what they need to do. But sorry for interrupting, but I kind of wanted to throw that in there because that's one of the reasons why
Right.
I think that's important to point out, right? Because whenever I say something on Twitter, it's because I'm not just speaking from a fanboy's perspective. I'm actually I my long history with gaming
Mhm.
has led me to my thought process, right? So
Right.
whenever I see Sony kind of jumble something together in a press conference, whether it be Sony or Xbox, I mean Xbox has done it too.
Yeah.
I'll call it for what it is, and I think that that's what's missing nowadays. That you just have honest to truth responses from real gamers who have been here
Right.
for the long haul. You know,
Yeah.
so I just want to throw
Yes.
that in there.
No, no, it's a good point, and it's true. It's true. That was one of my first experiences with really uh, giving Sony a shot, and it turned me off. And that's, I was listen. I was always going to be a Microsoft. I was a Microsoft fanboy, and this goes into part of the things where how I became an Xbox. But I might as well just go into that because it ties into this. So when
Sure.
I got the Xbox, it was because I went to school and it was called Computer Career Center.
Gotcha.
And they were everyone in the whole entire school, teachers, kids, they hated Microsoft. Now, they hated Microsoft for a couple of reasons because they closed off the PC architecture, according to them. And they also, they were like novel. There was a Novell. It was like a database. It was like one of those systems where you could, have a business on and users and stuff like that. And that was the big thing. And they were pushing Novell, and that was like Office's counterpart. And I just was one of the people that kind of was like, why is everyone hating on Microsoft? And I became defensive of them, and I've actually became a fan of Microsoft because I saw the other flip coin. I saw all the hate. And when I heard that they were going to get the system out, I was excited. I'm like, this is going to be my system, because I was a Microsoft fan before that. And I got the Microsoft the week of. I got Xbox the week of. I think I had to wait for a paycheck, and I got it that Friday, so I didn't get day one. Um, but I just became a fan, and I feel like they throughout the generations have always supported it. There was some murky times, but I was an Xbox Beta Live tester, so I was a part of that. I always felt like Xbox was pushing boundaries, and through the years, I basically became a fan of them, and then I became vocal on them through the forums in 2007, through a forum called System Wars, which was very
Oh
popular. It
yeah,
was,
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was big on that, and that transitions into Twitter, and then you're talking about whole last generation of fighting and console warring, and to
Yeah.
where I am right now. But I've been I mean, at this point, it's a little more personal now because, 2015, I met all the executives. I went out to dinner with all the executives. I've had personal hangouts with certain executives. I don't publicly talk about that stuff because it's nobody's
No.
business, and
Yeah, it's not to brag
people,
or anything like that. Yeah.
but they've treated me good. Aside from
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, you're this and that," and they give you nothing. It's quite the quite the contrary, because they've treated me very, very well in a lot of areas, and You know, and I've went to every Xbox Fan Fest. I went to every Xbox since 2015. Every press conference. I went to parties, late night parties with like people like executives and developers. It's a big part. It was a big party thing before the COVID hit. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of history there. And now I'm just, you know, I'm actually, I would consider myself. I talk to Phil a lot. I talk to Aaron. You know, they send me sometimes. Aaron sends me stuff. I send Aaron stuff. Like I sent him a light box. I actually sent Phil a light box too.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, one of those a nerd propellant. He does a lot of designs. If you want to check him out on Etsy.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I said, you know, like we have a good relationship. So I don't really broadcast that, but that's how far it's become. You know,
Yeah.
and I
I
was
think
always a genuine fan, but it's just evolved to something
I
even bigger.
Yeah, you know, and hearing your story, right, with Xbox, the thing is that even for someone like myself, right, that I haven't had the same I haven't been fortunate enough to go to any of the fan fest, none of the E3s or meet, you know, none of these execs, but for me personally, right, it's kind of it there you could just see the difference when you're a part of the Xbox community and you're you know, and you're surrounded by these colleagues that are just so passionate about gaming. And the thing is that even even Phil, right, who has no idea who I am, brother, okay? I sent him a message not too long ago on Xbox Live, and I told him, "Hey Phil, you know, first of all, congratulations on the lifetime award. I really do think that this product that you guys have completely turned it around. You've turned it around to where the Xbox is such a value that it's really hard to say no to this brand right now, right? But at the same time, I just think that you guys really need to up your game when it comes to the sharing aspect of the console, right? There for a company such as Xbox to be the one of the software giants of the world.
Hmm.
I basically wrote it's a shame that you are so far behind when it comes to that part, right, brother? He wrote back. He wrote
Yeah.
back and he said, "Thank you for the lifetime for you know, for letting me know, and I appreciate your feedback. Where else are you going to get that with what other company, brother? So, do you think Jim Ryan's going to write me back?
No.
I mean, come on,
No,
man.
and
So
I think and
so
a lot of the Sony fanboys are jealous of that stuff. Like they'll
I think
say,
so.
"Oh, you know, this and that," and they'll make fun of Xbox guys. But there is a big, and I've talked to Aaron about this. There is a big advantage Xbox has. They talk to their fans. They know their fans. They know the creators. They know the content creators. They know the fan art. They know Clobrol. They know all the people that do the good stuff and the nice stuff
Yeah,
that they push out, and they have an open ear. If you have a problem, and I've had multiple times where
absolutely.
I had to get things done, and I've gotten things done. You know, I had one guy that couldn't get his rewards, and he had $392 worth of rewards, and for whatever reason in the system, they couldn't redeem it, and it went to like tier two, and they still couldn't figure it out. So what happens? Aaron basically gives the guy a $392 credit,
Wow.
and he fixed it that way.
Yeah.
So you know, like stuff like that, you know, and you know, if I've asked for favors and stuff, and they've always accommodated. It's never been, you know, they're really good to their fans, and like a lot of
Yeah.
people joke around, but the case is that's the truth.
Yeah, and Tim, let me piggyback off something else, right? So, you also said that, you know, you've always been a Microsoft you know, a Microsoft fan ever even before they brought out the OG Xbox. For me, right, I'll give you some feedback for me when the OG Xbox came out, I was so wrapped around the PS2, right? That I was trained by Sony, You know what I'm saying? I was trained by them. And what I mean by that is I remember when the OG Xbox came out. I'm a gamer at the end of the day, so I mean I wanted to pick one up, even though I was highly skeptical of the system. I was like, man, Xbox getting into gaming. They look at this janky ass controller. This thing is huge. You know, this doesn't make any fucking sense why they made this controller so big. I remember seeing it on a kiosk and it was playing Project Gotham Racing. And I play the game and I'm like, you know what? The graphics are pretty good, but I don't know about this controller, man. And I don't know how long Microsoft's going to be into this Xbox thing, right? So I saved up the money. I eventually got one. And I'm going to tell you what my aha moment was, Tim. Okay. I had two of them kind of like together. My aha moment was when my mom, in the way that I used to play in my room, every time that, back in the day, for those young listeners that are listening, we had a thing called cords. Okay, remember those, Tim? When your controllers had a cord that you had to plug it into the system.
I sure do.
Okay, so every now and then, my mom would pass by, and guess what would happen, Tim? She would knock the port off, and system goes flying, almost hits the floor. I'm like, shit, mom, like be careful, whatever. So I remember looking at the Xbox controller and I'm plugging it in, and I look down and I go, wait a second, what is this? And you remember how the OG Xbox had the cord that you can split it just in case somebody tripped on it or whatever. That way your system wouldn't fall. Man, when I saw that, I was like, that small little thing right there blew my mind. I was like, what? Like, wow, that they even thought of this. That's fantastic, right? And that's a dumb thing. But let me tell you the next step. I'll give you the next one. So the next one, right? Turn on the system. I bought myself the system, Halo, Project Gotham, a couple of more games, and I bought myself the memory card, and I plug it in, and I see that it's asking me, "Do you want to save on the hard drive or the memory card?" And I go, "What's a hard drive? What's going on here?" You know what I'm saying? I had no idea what a hard drive was, Tim. So I started, talking to my friends. They're like, "Dude, why'd you buy the memory card for?" And I go, "Because the PlayStation needed a memory card." And they go, "You fool! That thing brings a hard drive. You don't even need the memory card, and you can put music on it. You can." And I'm like, "What? You can put music on this thing?" And then to take it to the next level, right? Xbox, I was already bragging to the system about the system to anyone that would listen, right? So then the next step for me, okay, and this one, if the Xbox execs are listening, you might not like this one, but my cousin's husband kind of got into modding. Okay. And he figured out how to mod that OG Xbox, and that thing became an entertainment hub. Okay. And brother, that thing, I had Xbox Media Center on it. Some games will come earlier than others, if you know what I'm saying. But I was playing all games, first party, third party on Xbox, and I started noticing the difference, Tim. I started noticing the graphic fidelity being better on the Xbox side. I started enjoying the dashboard, the ecosystem, and that was really that was my turning point into getting enthralled into Xbox, right? So fast forward, 360 comes out. I'm a day one with the 360, super excited. I saw that they kind of learned from the modding community of the OG Xbox, and they included a lot of aspects to the 360. But the one that got me were those achievements, man. You know what I'm saying? To the point that I had King David on not too long ago. He was my last guest, and we were talking. I was lucky enough to pick up the Steam Deck. All right, Tim. I got it it's gonna be 3 weeks now that I got it, like 3 weeks ago. So I installed a bunch of games that I had from my Steam library ready to go, and I booted up DMC. You remember DMC, Devil May Cry? The reboot.
Yes.
So I booted that up and I'm playing it. And I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm playing this portable. Man, this is gonna be awesome. Brother, I see a little achievement pop up on the bottom, and I go, oh, wait a minute. Oh man, this just feels wrong. I'm so enthralled in the Xbox ecosystem. I enjoy being on the ecosystem. I enjoy seeing when like my friends come online. When I see that Tim Dog comes online, that I was like, nah, man, this ain't it for me, man. I don't feel home. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing. That's why I use my PlayStation for first party titles. That's why I use my PC for any games that I want to just enjoy them to the full maximum
Right.
fidelity, but brother, Xbox is home. Now, do you? I
Yes.
know, I know that feels dumb, Tim.
No, I agree. I was thinking that the other day when I was playing the show. It's just the way you do feel like it's home when you're playing, and I'm sure there's Sony guys that feel that way too on
Absolutely,
their end. But for each and every person, it's an individual experience, and I just like the way they do it, like just the quick resume. This generation with the quick resume, I mean, I don't even turn my game off. I just like throw my controller and leave the room, and I come
right?
back like 3 days later, and the game's right
Yeah,
there.
that's a
So,
that's a feature that people are sleeping on. That's a game changer.
oh, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
And just like the Game Pass and the whole, I mean, like I see Phil come on, and sometimes Phil's offers me to play, and of course I'm excited to play with him and stuff like that. Like people in the community I've played with, you know, Mike Ybarra when he was a part of it. We used to play a lot, but it's transitioned for me personally, and I think for other Xbox fans into being a big company, big corporation to real people,
yeah,
and that's why I think that like not to change the subject, but just like the Activision things and the workplace environments, I do feel like if Xbox does get that deal, I think that they will really look to fix that. And I know
yeah.
Phil is, he's all about women's rights, and he's all, Phil's the type of guy. This is the truth. He gets mad if you curse in front of a girl in his presence. He finds
Wow.
it disrespectful. Yeah, he doesn't like that, and
And he
that's
has
just
daughters, and he has
he
daughters
has
as well, right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's all about respect.
So,
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
but he's a good guy.
Ever since I saw every when just to give you some feedback on Phil, and we'll move on. I remember when the announcement came. I know we all remember, especially Xbox centric, gamers. We remember the dark days, man. With the Xbox One and how hard that was. Tough pill to swallow. With all the negative media reactions to everything Xbox would do. But I do remember some things rightfully so. They deserve some criticism, but I remember when Phil got the position, brother. I still remember sitting in a parking lot during lunchtime and watching an interview with Larry Herb. With Major Nelson, that he was interviewing him and announcing him as the head of Xbox, and I remember Phil, right? And I'm like, man, I think I seen this dude come out on a couple of press conferences, during the 360 days, and one of the things, man, that little did I know back then, that he would not only revolutionize bring the make a historic comeback, because we know that Xbox was on death's door. There was rumors for a long time that where it was Microsoft going to sell to Amazon, where they just gonna
Yeah,
kill
that was
this
made
brand.
that was made up by Peter Dodd. One of the
Wow.
reasons why I got up on Twitter was because NeoGAF was a breeding ground for illegitimate information that was getting, basically broadcasted by the gaming media because they didn't do their homework and they didn't know who these people were. I did know
Okay.
who these people were. I knew who Thue was. I knew that Dodd, what they were doing. I knew they were lying, and I've called them out on it. And that was where I came to the forefront. And that's when I came on Twitter specifically because of a thread on NeoGAF, which was about the Xbox having to downclock its clocks. That was completely made up and pushed
Mm.
by Thue and Dodd, and they were doing it because they had bad yields and they were having all these problems. So that's a big lie, and it was getting picked up by the media.
Is that
Now,
why were they blaming that why Xbox couldn't match 1080p with PS4? Was that kind of like
no,
what
no.
they were?
This
No.
was this was. We'll talk about this with the MPD. This was
Hmm.
the yields of the chip of the
Oh,
wafer.
gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
so every chip basically goes through a quality process, a testing process, and if it fails, it gets thrown out, or what they call binned. So they were saying that Xbox had a large amount of binned silicon. It was a complete lie, And I came onto the thread because I had known some people, and I knew that they said it was a lie. And I basically confronted Thue, and I broadcast that uh, that that um uh that forum thread, and there was actually an article written on it about 4 years later, and I go through it. But yeah, they made it up, and Dodd also made up the fact that it was going to get sold to Amazon. Now we all hear this and you remember this, but the reason why you remember this is because the media, gaming media,
Yeah.
they don't do their homework, and they didn't know. They just thought, oh, these guys are verified on NeoGAF and they're getting pushed. This must be real. So
Okay.
they were pushing these stories, which they were completely false. And I remember even Aaron coming on, and he's like, "Who does this? Like, what's going on here?" He was
Wow.
legitimately curious, and again, this is part of my history where we're going through. But yeah, I was a fierce defender of them because there was actual, real dirty stuff going on that forum, and they had a moderator, Bish, that was all a part of it, basically banning Xbox fans for just being an Xbox fan. I mean,
Wow.
you talk about a real piece of shit. The guy
Yeah.
Bishop, people know him on NeoGAF. That guy really is he had the nerve to say I was a racist and lied
Mhm.
about me. He's the type of guy that really should take a look
Yeah.
in the mirror.
A piece of work. A piece of work.
Tim Lewinstein. Yeah, he,
Mm.
he was a part of all the lies, and he was a part of the FUD, and yeah, they did some real shady stuff. But I was there, and I definitely put a dent in their plans, what they tried to do at the time.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad, but that's why I'm saying that throughout that whole generation, right? Right. I think that the turning point was for me personally that I started seeing kind of a change in the media a little bit was when Phil had already kind of been established, and they announced that the Xbox One S was getting a redesign with the slim model, and then the of course Project Scorpio, right? I think that that's kind of when things really changed that I saw with all those negative, with all the negativity, really, right? So it's interesting that you say that, Tim, and thanks for sharing that, man, and thanks for letting me know. So around that time, right? Let's transition into the MPDs, Tim. So to recap. Sega, big Sega fan, Tim. That's kind
Mhm.
of like your background there, and then Xbox. You've always been kind of like a fan of Microsoft.
Yeah,
Yeah, so of course it's going to transition to the console, right? And we
yes,
do know that Xbox, for the most part, does have Sega in their DNA somehow, right? So I
right,
think
right.
right. So that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense, brother. I mean that's a no brainer. So let's transition to these MPDs, Tim. Right? We got about yeah, we still got a lot of time here, Tim. So let's go over these recent NPDs, that have been coming out that are indicating that Microsoft has slowly, creeped up on the PS5 when it
Yes.
comes to sales. Man, I mean, this really, this is something that kind of caught me off guard because I don't really keep tabs on the sales or anything like that. But all of a sudden, I started seeing post after post, and a lot of debate back and forth. And okay, so first let's talk about let's talk about why you think that
Okay.
that 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 this is happening, and then we'll go. I'll take it in another direction.
Okay. So first of all, not in addition to MPD, Xbox has won 3 of the 4 months. I believe in the UK or Europe, which is really eyebrow raising.
Yep.
So they've been putting on a pretty big clinic lately. They might win March over Switch.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that are going on right now. So here's a couple of theories. One of the theories, and it could be true, I'm kind of in the middle here. One of the theories was talked about on RDX, and it was laid out by Dealer pretty well, and it's true. When you have a high clock like Sony has, and we talked about yields just before. Remember, I said I
Yep.
would bring it up again.
Yes,
When
sir.
you have a high clock like they do, there's a possibility that your yield rate which should be a good yield rate is like 95, let's say. Let's say your yield rate is like 70. Okay, you're throwing away 30% of the chips. They're deemed unusable and they're binned. Then you're going to have, on top of a constraint shortage, you're going to also have that's basically compounding the issue. So you have both of these issues, and what you have now on the Xbox side is that they have a less clock. They're running at 1800 megahertz. Sony's running, I think, at 23, which is absolutely crazy. No other AMD product is doing that. And then you also have the S, which is 2 times less silicon than the X, and it is at a 1600. So the yield rates are probably very good on Xbox's side. And to compound the issue, or not the issue, or the availability, is that you have the ability to say, hey, let's produce 75% more S's than X's because we don't have to use that amount of silicons, because you use less silicon. Every 2 pieces of silicon that an Xbox Series X is it makes 2 S's to make 1 X. So you have those issues, and that's kind of a really laid out situation where that makes sense why they have this advantage that they have. And the advantage, I have news for you, looks like it's going to last throughout this whole year until
it looks that way. Yeah.
It looks like there's a lot of issues here now. The other thing was, and I saw Nick Chappelle bring this up, and I actually have heard stuff other too, but I never really thought about it. Is that Phil cut a deal with AMD to secure a lot of resource, a lot of silicon, and that's very possible. Like if you throw a big amount of money at somebody like AMD, and you make their supply lines faster, or you make their ability to create the chip faster than Sony, you will get this type of advantage. So the fact is that the Sony is selling out. It's still very popular.
Absolutely.
And that's great. And the Sony fans can't deal with. It's just that now Xbox is not Xbox One anymore. Right. Xbox is Xbox Series X, and it has a fucking ton of good will towards it. Right. People want it. People want the S.
It's deemed as it's a no-brainer anymore. Now if you don't have an Xbox, it's kind of like you're missing out if you're a gamer. If you don't have an Xbox, that's the kind of like the way that I see it. And you bring up a lot of interesting facts there, Tim, and opinions and suggestions. I think, after listening to some of the things you've said and some of the things I've heard, can it be possible that this is a combination of everything just in one big ball that has, kind of brought this to light? Because if you remember, before the PS5 launched, I forgot which
2 to 1.
I forgot what I think. Yeah, they were saying
analysts. Analysts.
Yes, and I remember also that there was a lot of it was Bloomberg, I think. They came out and they said that the PS5 was having yield issues, and then Sony quickly said that's not true. I don't know why they're saying that, but I mean, the rumor was out there, and Bloomberg wasn't going to post something without having, I would think, something that suggested that. You know what I'm saying? So who knows if somebody on the AMD side opened their mouth and they kind of said something they weren't supposed to, right? But a big thing that I've seen this week is that, and I've seen you kind of vocal about it, is that for all of these fanboys, because man, let me tell you something. If there's something that irritates me, is people that put others down because they prefer another console, or they want to save money, and then they get called the Walmart gamers. They get called all these things that it's just not right, brother. Right? So the funny thing is that if let's say it's true that Phil did secure a deal, and now all these fanboys are saying that Xbox is cheating. I mean, brother, I mean, to even suggest that, you have to be just so low. You just have to be so
You
far
know
on
what?
Sony's ass to even suggest
Yes.
that, because even us, right? Even us as Xbox centric gamers, when Sony goes out and they secure a Final Fantasy
Say good
7
job.
deal,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic fucking business move. Okay,
You know, we
and
say, Phil, where's our game?
there you go.
We say, what about us? And you know, we don't bash. You know, we just say, you know, it is what it is.
There you
But
go.
not to interrupt you, but I just want to
No, go
say
ahead.
something to you. The reason why, and you're right, there's a lot of craziness about this, is because the same people that are saying it's cheating are the same people that said nobody wanted an Xbox.
Right.
Xbox is in last place.
Has
You'll
no
never
games.
win. You'll never have no games. You'll never win an MPD again. Now, all that stuff is not true. It's the Xbox is freaking gotten really popular.
Right.
It's gotten really popular since I'd say it really started to get popular maybe like literally last June after the E3 was a real big step in the right direction. The holiday, they absolutely tidal wave Sony. You can say what
Yeah.
you want. Halo's incomplete. The bottom line is that Halo was a huge hit,
Mhm.
and it was the campaign hit, 87 Metacritic. The game was awesome. I played it, finished it, loved it. They had Forza Horizon 5, best looking console game probably going still. Makes GT7 look like a joke, and I know that you shouldn't compare them, different games, but the fact that that game looks the way it does and it's open world versus, on the grid racer, simulation says a lot. And Forza this year is going to blow things away in this holiday. It's going to blow that away. But
Yeah.
like people realize Xbox is a place for value, is a place for a good community. Our community is awesome. Like I hate to say it, this community has been looking good this whole entire start of this generation. Sony fanboys have looked absolutely ridiculous
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
start of this, and it's because they fueled hate, and they had something where ever hear the saying don't kick a horse while it's down or whatever,
Yeah.
or a dead horse, why you beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
They were constantly happy making fun of the Xbox fan, making fun of the Xbox brand, and it was real easy to make fun of Xbox in 2017. It became increasingly hard, and then they still try to do it. They started with these narratives, these stupid narratives like dedicated console, we don't like cloud gaming, Game Pass is FUD, you won't get quality. All that stuff came tumbling down, untrue, looks stupid, and all these narratives that they kept trying to push out basically all got debunked. And now you have a situation where people realize Xbox is fucking awesome. Excuse my
Of
language.
course. No, you're
And
good.
and
Of course,
and
it's a
that's the
value.
thing.
Yeah, you can't deny the value. You can't deny the brand anymore. And it's one of those things that you know how it's whether, let's say that your preferred platform is PlayStation, right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just like I said, my preferred platform, I feel at home at Xbox. If there's gamers out there listening that feel at home on the PlayStation ecosystem, all the power to you, brother. I respect and I hope that you guys are enjoying your system or whatever. But the thing is that Xbox has become such a player right now in my eyes that they're leading the mind share, Tim. And I think that that's what the fanboys have a hard time understanding and coming to grips with. It is it they have taken the mind share completely for the gamers. And how have they done that? By doing things out of goodwill, by producing value, by saying, hey, we understand our audience, that there's an audience out there hungry for a $500 system, but we also understand that there's other gamers out there that don't want to spend that type of money. So here's the Series S with all the next gen features as well. Game Pass, $14.99, $9.99 if you don't want the cloud, the X Cloud and PC gaming to be attached to it. The value is just there. And the thing is that, you know, this past week, Tim, or 2 weeks ago now, I don't remember, when
Right.
PlayStation comes out and they announce their rebuttal, okay, to Game Pass, brother, that thing
Blew up in their
fell.
face.
It blew up in their face. It fell flat on their face, right? So I was adamant on Twitter and I said, PlayStation, this is not good enough. This is not good
Hmm.
enough. What value have you added to your gamers? And I got some flack from the usual suspects. And what one of the things that they told me was that why would PlayStation do that if they're selling, their games at $70 and they're making a lot of money? Hey, if you want to go to bat for Sony and you're not even employed by them, but if that's the route you want to take, all right. So I just said, listen, I call it like it is. I'm the consumer, I'm the gamer. I don't give a rat's ass what Sony has to do to figure out how to get me day and date in a subscription. Microsoft, who was their direct competitor, has changed the game. So now it's Sony's turn to rebuttal and make me choose which subscription I rather have, right? And if you're not giving me day and date, then I guess I'm not going to subscribe to your shitty ass service. And that's the bottom line, And then and then the justification. Oh, I will gladly pay for $70, brother. What are you doing? Why would you tell a company that it's okay to charge you as much as they can for a product? Who has ever heard of that, Tim?
I
I
agree.
just scratch my head.
No, it really is. I just think that whole thing blew up in their face, and they got like caught in between saying it's not competition, it is, but it was kind of a half-ass attempt. They're not going to be ever competition until they go day and date, and it doesn't sound like they're going to do it for the time being, but they're just going to have to if they're going to really try to do the subscription. If not, then they're just going to make Xbox even bigger than it is. So
Absolutely.
that's the
Absolutely.
problem, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, and I'll finish off with this, Tim. If for everyone out there trying to justify this and trying to say no, you know what, Sony's not trying to compete with Xbox. They're going in their own route. Bullshit. All right, I'm calling bullshit, and I'll tell you why. Sony bringing out this Game Pass competitor, all right, and I use that in quotations. It's their way again for us longtime gamers that know how Sony functions. Okay, we know their tactics, we know their marketing, we know the way they kind of position things. I'm gonna call it like it is for all you people out there listening. The bottom line is that they're trying to take advantage of the misinformed.
Hmm.
Okay, they're trying to take advantage of their fan base. They're trying to say, hey, we heard you. We know that Xbox over there has a service. You want a service too? Here you go. This is what we have. But please don't ask for day and date, because if you do that,
Yeah.
we're going to go out of business. Bullshit.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that you can call me a fanboy, whatever you have, or just a fan, or just a super fan, and then you
You're
have the
calling it like it is.
fanboys or super fans of Sony. Those guys just defend, defend, defend. They never say, "Hey, why shouldn't we get? We should get the same thing. We have the best games. Why we want day and day too." You have guys like Android or Alejandro. He's a cool dude, but whatever. He's just constantly making excuses, constantly saying that it's okay. And unfortunately, their base, we talked about communication. The communication that they have with their fans is crap.
It
They
is.
try to, like you said, it's either try to fool them or get away with some kind of shady shit. And I don't know what it is. I just think that it's for the fact is that it's the proof's in the pudding. They don't get shit that they ask for. They just make excuses, and then they play this. They make up these stupid narratives, and I don't know. I just see the Xbox fan, whether it's myself, yourself, Global, we're always pushing to make Xbox better. We're always
Absolutely.
focused on Xbox, and those guys are focused on what we do. So, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. I mean, and I've said it, like, don't try to clean up somebody else's house when your house is a shithole. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Like,
the thing is,
take care
no
of
one,
your home first before
right.
you go out and say what I should do or what somebody else should do with their house.
Right. And the thing is, again, not to diminish PlayStation's contribution to the
Well,
gaming space.
achievements, yeah, they've done
Uh,
great. Yeah.
they've fantastic. But again, it's okay to demand better. It's okay to say, hey, I want you guys to compete the same way that for years and years, people like yourself, okay, that you have a close connection to Xbox management. Fans like me, we're very vocal on Twitter, copying Phil, copying Aaron, copying Jason Ronald, all these peeps, Sarah Bond, letting them know, hey, we need you guys to do better because PlayStation is sweeping the floor with you guys during the PS4 generation, right? Tim, they come out and they acquire Bethesda. They're now acquiring, in the middle of acquiring Activision Blizzard. They are delivering. You know what I'm saying? They are trying to say, hey, you know what? We believe in this model, in this Game Pass model. Now here comes the content that we're trying to build this thing to be a revolving door of content every single month. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that how did Xbox do this? Because of the feedback. Okay. And yes, they got their teeth kicked in during the PS4 generation and they had to pivot and they had to figure things out. But they're doing that, right? And it's not status quo like it is on the Sony side that they bring out a system and for me to enjoy the controller, they're asking me to pay an extra $10 per game. It doesn't make sense, brother. And that type of nickel and diming needs to be called out. And I wish more people
Yes.
called it for what it was.
I
But
mean, you look at all the things that Xbox has done that were they would say considered cheap. They use the controller of the Xbox One that you can transfer over to the Xbox Series X. You can use
right,
it. There's no reason why you can't use the DS4. There's like things like the $10 surcharge. Sony's done a lot of things this generation that's turned a lot of people off. Now listen, I get it. $70 a game. Okay. You're gonna tell me the show's worth 70? You're gonna tell
that's
me
what I'm talking about.
Returnal is really worth 70? I don't know. Just have a blanket statement to say all our games are 70, and they get no kickback, zero kickback from the community. It's just I don't know. It's just especially when your competition is doing the same at 60, and people will say, oh well, it's half. The Xbox is not as big. That's not true. Xbox has multiplayer. Look at Halo. Halo, even though people are saying it's an incomplete game still, it's a game that's still going and supported. It had multiplayer at launch. It had a full campaign at launch. And it had, it has a ton of support coming through the future for it. Game is absolutely huge. Going to have Forge. Going to have things. And that game's $60. And then you're going to tell me a game like, which they tried to, but a lot of people like myself made a shit show, even though, I shouldn't even be talking about it because I'm not a Sony fan, but I pointed it out. Like that All-Star game, PlayStation All-Star, what was that
Oh
game?
yeah, that fighting game back in the day.
Destruction All-Stars
Oh,
was
Destruction All-Stars.
$70.
Come on, man.
They try to pass that until people were like, whoa. So that's the thing. Their community really has to stop with the bullshit, in my opinion, because it's really gotten. I mean, I'm on Twitter, but as you probably noticed, I'm a lot quieter than I've used to be, and that's twofold. It's because we talked about it. At this point, Xbox kind of proven himself. They don't
Right.
need defending. They don't, there's no stupid narratives that are cropping up that's people are actually believing.
No,
And
you'll just
you know,
you'll just see something that's bullshit, and you'll call out, at your choosing. You know what I'm saying?
right?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I agree with that, Tim. And the thing is, let's finish up with this so we can hit up the last topic. We got about 13 minutes left, brother, before you got to go. The just the again, these same dudes that are criticizing Xbox at every chance that they get will be playing Halo and Forza all for almost the whole week. They put in 80-90 hours into this game, and I'm like, I thought the games were bad. I don't understand. I thought they weren't quality, but you're putting 80 hours into a game that doesn't have quality. dude, I
Yeah.
just scratch my head at those things, man. But we'll move
Yeah.
on, Tim, unless you want to add anything else, brother.
No,
That's it.
you made a comment. I mean, we're kind of spouting off, but it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
You
sure,
know
bro.
what I mean? We do see the bullshit, and it's good to just air it out, and
Just
it's good
guys,
talking. We're a bar talk, like you said. It's just two guys just talking about the bullshit
yeah.
that goes on.
Look, man, the last thing I'll say, and it's some advice to these men, because it's mostly men that I see with this bullshit. Okay, stop with the simp mentality, man. Stop simping to any company out there, man. If the company is not treating you right and they're trying to take advantage of you and nickel and dime you, call it out for what it is, man. I was vocal last week and I said, hey, Xbox, you need to drop gold as soon as you can, because to me, it's just an antiquated way for console gamers to get online. It's an antiquated business practice. I don't give a rat's ass again how much money Xbox makes from that. Not my problem. Figure out how you guys can make up the money some other way and give gamers an entry, an easier entry into multiplayer gaming on your platform that will bring more and more people to the platform. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that as an Xbox centric gamer. Does that mean I'm going to get banned by Phil? Because I know, and I think that these guys, they're just so scared to vocalize things, man. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll end it with that, Tim. So all right, Tim. So the last topic here, brother, we got about 10 minutes. You recently posted a tweet indicating that Xbox may announce a big E3 like showcase soon.
Mm-hmm.
A gut feeling, Tim. I don't know if it's something you heard in the community or what, but when do you think that they're gonna make this announcement, and what do you think that they're gonna do here, brother?
Listen. I'll tell you a little bit. They were planning on having E3. Obviously the thing with Activision was going on, but I think that Phil wanted an E3. He wanted fans there, and he wanted to have the presence of the fans. And then that whole Omnicron hit, and when that hit, Xbox, Microsoft is a very, they're a very, I would say, what's the word? They're going to be on top of that stuff medically. They're going to say we're going to recognize it, and they might have jumped the gun a little and said we're not going to have an event. And that happened I believe, in December or January. And then when that happened, that threw everything on its head. So now you have a place where I think Phil wants a place where fans can come. And then E3, obviously, we know about E3 canceling. So I know Phil wants a show. So I know this show's coming. It's like people are like, what do they're going to not show anything? They're
No.
dry and all this stupid stuff. No, they have one of the best games that they feel that they want to showcase, that they have in maybe the history of the gaming, or one of the best. That's how highly that they think of Starfield. So the Starfield showcase E3 type thing, I'm thinking there's going to be I just feel like there's going to be an announcement soon. I thought it would be last week. Maybe it's this week. But the reason why I say that is because when you make announcements, you have to give people time to travel, and people, if they're going to be able to come there. Now, if it's not an in-person event, I still don't think that they'll do it 2 weeks before. I spoke to a couple of people saying that they might do it. I doubt that they do that. So the time has come that they're going to announce something. And I would say in the time frame from now between April 22nd, they're going to have to say something. Or
Yeah.
if they don't, then maybe May 1st or the start of May, because then that's going to be a month. But there's a show coming, and what I'm hearing is that they're also considering doing a show in XO, and I'm also hearing that next year, as we saw that post go up about doing these showcases. Do you guys remember that job listing that came up?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
okay, that's because they're gonna have a ton of shit coming. Okay, that's the bottom line. Next year they're gonna have a show, I would assume, if with Activision that's gonna be when Activision, if it does get announced, that's gonna be a freaking huge deal, bro. That's
Yeah.
gonna be a big ass deal. They're gonna they're gonna advertise that like crazy, and rightfully so. And that's going to be a huge thing. I can think of an event there. They're going to have a huge blowout E3, and they're going to have XO. So next year you can look at 3 shows.
Do you
And
think? Do you think, Tim, that by any chance they kind of Phil and Team Xbox kind of saw, since there wasn't going to be three? Do you think it's possible at all? Because my recommendation to them would be that it's a perfect opportunity for them to dominate the airwaves. Since make the most of it, right? You got to make
right,
the best of it. So I really thought that they would benefit a lot by having kind of like an Xbox week where maybe one day they can showcase Starfield, really give
good
it its
idea.
own time, and then maybe one day do an Xbox first party showcase.
Redfall, yeah,
Yeah,
Redfall,
and
yeah, that's
then
a great
another day.
idea.
Yeah, that way it just gives fans and Xbox centric gamers something to look forward to the whole
Right.
week. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
the
So
celebration week,
exactly.
100%. And see, that's the thing. What you just said is what's going on at Xbox, or what went on in Xbox in the last couple of months. When the E3 didn't happen and it was thrown on his head, like I said, Phil was like, I know he was like he wasn't happy. It was just because he was
Right.
really looking forward to having the E3, having the fans there, having this big presence.
And
So
it's a lot of
now,
work. And it's a lot of
right,
work that
and
they
it's a
probably
lot
have
of
to do.
planning.
Yeah.
So, but now everything's thrown up in the air, and then you have good ideas like what you just said. So somebody might say, "Well, that's not a good idea. I want the full day, and I want everything that day." But then you have somebody who says, like me, says that's a pretty good idea. You can have a celebration week. So you have a lot of debate. You have a lot of stuff, and then they have to come to a conclusion of what they're going to do. That's
Right.
why they're late. Okay, and that's why they're also been very quiet since Activision, because quite frankly they're scared shitless that it's not going to get passed. And when
Right.
you're throwing these these things out, and all these things, they need that deal to pass, in my opinion. I think it will, but they don't want to rattle any cages right now. But it's at the time where, listen, that's 3 months ago now. The fans are obviously waiting for something, but my gut feeling is that something's gonna the balloon is gonna pop, and we're gonna be happy getting some news, because it's been you know I think we both can agree it's very quiet.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, Tim. And let me ask you a question. We still got about 5 minutes.
Sure.
Do you think that I was on PTK's PTK Blam show last night, and he had great topics. One of them that
It's
he
great.
asked was regarding Starfield, right? And if there was a chance that Starfield would not be shown. And knowing Todd and Bethesda, kind of how they've done things in the past, they like to wait as far as possible. It could be a combination of things. It could be because they wanted to present it in the best way possible, and
Uh-huh.
because they want fans to not have to wait too long after, so that they can ride that momentum.
Right.
Do you would you I said yesterday on the show that I would personally be disappointed, and I think a lot of gamers and Xbox doesn't really need that negative media of how come you guys didn't show Starfield. So do you think Starfield
Wow.
is getting shown for sure?
Yeah, it's getting shown for sure.
I think so
One
too.
hundred percent gonna get for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Well, Tim,
I don't think you
that
have anything to worry about, and you're a pleasure. The show's awesome, and
appreciate that.
just really great.
Appreciate that, brother. So before I let you go, let everybody know. I mean, everybody's probably listening knows where they can catch you, but let them know, Tim. What do you got set up? I know you got a show tonight, and then of course RDX
Yes.
on Tuesdays. Let them know where they could find you, where they could hit up a conversation.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, xCloud Timdog. As you guys know, I'm going to be doing TXR, maybe a half a show because I'm kind of tired right now. Just stop in over there. I'm sure they'll be okay. Um, uh, and RDX on Tuesday, which is obviously I don't think needs any explanation. Very popular show.
Absolutely. Tim, thank you for, for talking to me, giving me some of your background, man, and letting us know the inside baseball, of Tim's relationship with Xbox, man. We really appreciate your trust with that. And thank you so much again, man. It's been an honor. And to everyone out there, hit us up, man. If you guys want to strike up conversations, I'm always up to hearing different ideas and opinions. Really open about that stuff, and I hope everybody has a very productive week, whatever you're trying to accomplish, any goals and stuff like that. And stay safe, everyone. That's huge, man. So God bless everyone, man. Tim, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.